Sylvetta, you have been wandering the desert for a few days now. At some point, the companions that you had met at the campsite broke off. They went their own direction. If you had to guess, they probably started heading back towards Kantos.
Okay.
Or at least in a westward direction, and you continued east. You are traveling with your companion Elodere, the bard, and this whole time you've been just pondering that map. The weird runes seemed like gibberish, seemed incomplete, clearly magical or something going on with the map, but you're not able to read the map fully, and that's all that you can think about right now. Elodere has been nonstop complaining. He is currently walking up a sand dune, carrying the horse, like leading the horse, and you see he's shaking sand out of his lute, and he's just muttering under his breath. It is now sunset of the second day, and you crest another sand dune. And as you reach the top of the sand dune, you see for the very first time the walls of Sovalle. You see a breathtaking city in front of you. The first thing you notice is, as you're at the top of this dune, you see the ocean. You are at the coast, you have made it. You see the walls are made of ancient sandstone. There's square towers every 50, 60, 80 feet or so that just on various portions of the wall. You see in the heart of Sovalle, in the very center, jutting defiantly out of the city that surrounds it, the Ring of Echoes. It is a colossal hill that dwarfs the surrounding city. This massive hill that just rises up in the center. You see its name is derived from the hundreds and hundreds of statues that are carved into it in the little alcoves. Hundreds of statues that surround it. Ancient rulers that are all looking down on the city as it has grown over the thousands of years that this city has been around. The hill itself, you see, is pristine, white, like alabaster white, just clean white walls, but you see streaking across the white surface is like a network of gold rivers, veins of gold that pierce the whiteness, glimmering. And you see the veins of gold dipping in the alcoves of the statues and behind the statues. And here, even though it's about to set, the sun is just gleaming on that hill, like thousands of little windows on this hill, just tiny alcoves that circle the hill, hundreds of them, thousands of them. At the top of the hill, you see the Undying Palace. This is the seat of power for the Council of Immortals. These are the ones that rule here in Nidora. And the palace itself is adorned with gold and platinum and silver and jade and ivory, all sorts of precious stones and metals. And it's covered in domes and spires, and there's a single tower that rises up above the rest of them. And around this hill, you see the city. It sprawls outward, and you see palms and ferns. You see docks on the eastern side opposite you towards the ocean. You are on the west side, entering from the harsh desert climate. But you have finally found civilization, and you hear Elodere as he kind of comes up to the hill next to you, leading both of the horses. Oh, civilization. Thank the gods. And he turns to you, Sylvetta, we are getting a room. We're getting 2 rooms.
Why, you got tired of me that quick?
2 rooms, and he starts walking off. You approach the city. What are you doing?
Well, we're probably getting provisions and...
Sure, you tell me what you want to buy. For Sylvetta Thade, money is not an issue.
That's very true. So I guess first I will take Elodere and we'll go get something to drink, something to eat.
You enter the city through those gates. Immediately you're assaulted by the incredible and overpowering smell of both herbs and oils and incense and candles, and also sweat and grime. Dust and meat, fish, the smell of the ocean. It is a sensory overload. And as you were walking in, there are hundreds of people bustling in and out of the marketplace, lined with tarps that cover the actual street from the sun. You see bazaars that break off, underground not underground, but covered marketplaces that are selling everything from fruits and vegetables to weapons and curios and all sorts of things. So if you're looking for, what did you ask for? So just supplies?
Just some food and some water. Just for now, just for the day. I think we're gonna probably spend maybe a couple days here before we head off for a major journey.
Yeah, I mean, there is plenty of, so many of the stalls can just offer what you just asked for. So unless you're looking for something specifically, you can very easily, we'll call it for food, water, and...
Maybe some alcohol.
Alcohol, sure. Food, water, alcohol. We'll call it 2 gold.
Perfect.
Easy enough for Sylvetta.
Yeah.
She pays for it, and you are hydrated, maybe a little sunburnt. You're fed, and Elodere, who has put up the horses in the stable outside the city, catches up with you, and he looks fucking miserable. And
Yeah.
and he's just looking at you like, oh, like he's full.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that takes care of one of the problems. I still need a bath, and I will not take no for an answer, Sylvetta. So please, let's go find a room.
Don't worry, Elodere.
What are you looking for?
What is one of the nicest places that we could stay at? And if they don't have a bathroom, what would be the nicest bathhouse that we could go to?
Yes. So there is a place that you find. There's a lot of places. Some of them don't have signs. A lot of them look like holes in the wall. But you find. Are you looking for a tavern?
I'm looking for just a nice place to stay.
Okay, so you're looking for a room for the night.
Yeah.
Okay, so you find a place called the Vintage Verse. Beautiful. Like, so the funny thing about this place is that the rest of the street does not fit the persona of this building. It very, very much stands out. And what you're seeing is almost like the Flatiron Building in New York, a triangular-faced building that stands on the corner of this crossroad, where there is all sorts of different merchants set up that are all set up in the typical style of what you would find here. You see lots of tarps and coverings like that, stalls, that sort of thing. But this building is a 3-story building, completely white, like it's something out of like a Greek coastline or something like that.
Exactly what I want.
Beautiful painted shutters. There's vines growing up alongside the building itself, and it has a perfect view. It looks like as you're looking behind it, the hill seems to descend a little bit, and it seems to have a view of the ocean and the docks. So while it's not situated in the best area, or at least the most fancy area, it has an incredible view, and it catches your attention.
Perfect. We will go there.
Yep. So you enter the Vintage Verse. Are you looking to buy like their best room?
I mean, not their best room, but like not their bottom tier, like
Sure.
something mid-range.
Sure. The lady at the front, you see like dark-skinned woman, hair pulled tight back, who is just kind of looking at her ledger, and she's like, yes, of course. We can put you in the second story. We have a room that I think you'll like very much. And Elodere comes up, no. 2 rooms. I asked for 2 rooms. Sylvetta, you promised.
Yes.
I want my own bed.
2 rooms, please. Nicest one for the gentleman.
Oh, you're too kind. You are too kind. What she said, please, nicest room, I'll take it right now. I need to go bathe. And she hands him the key. She kind of gives you a glance. We'll call for both of the rooms, we'll call that 10 gold. 5 gold apiece. You are given access, so you have since you chose the medium tier, you have access to the bath downstairs. Elodere is bathing in his own private. Right?
Okay.
If we cut to him right now, he is currently sitting in a clawfoot bathtub, his completely naked, just the balcony doors wide open, looking out into the bay, palm trees growing up right next to the balcony, and he is living life. And then we cut back to you. At this point, it's about nighttime. Which, by the way, we can say that you've gotten a long rest at this point.
Okay, perfect. How do you do hit points coming back from a long rest?
It just resets back to the top. And your hit dice, you had 3 there, right?
Yeah.
So you regain half of your hit dice. So however many you used before.
Perfect.
Have you played before?
I have.
Great. Yeah, hit points are maximum. All of your spell slots reset, which I don't think you have any spell slots.
I do not have spell slots.
So, what do you do for that evening? Eladir eventually comes to your room wearing fresh, clean clothing. You see this time, normally you see him in black, but he is wearing a frilly collared, deep V-neck, strings loose, very piratey shirt, tight leather trousers, not too tight, but tight for sure, definitely framing his physique. Very nice dress shoes, and you see he's got some bracelets, he's got earrings in that you didn't see before, and he just looks at you, like you answer the door and his hands are just up in the frame, and he just looks at you and he's like, what's the plan for tonight? I would like to get drunk.
Okay, let's get drunk then.
You see, he leads you outside. He's already drunk. You can smell it.
Yeah.
You've known him for a little bit at this point, probably about 2 weeks now. He has times where he kind of gets a little depressed and, but right now he's on like the other end of that where he's very flamboyant and he's feeling himself right now, probably because of the bath, like in The Sims. Mm-hmm. When, what is it, after you take a shower, what is it, you're feeling flirty?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's feeling flirty right now. His bar is filled up, it's all pink. He is like, every time that you pass somebody, he's talking to them. And let's see, roll a d4 for me.
A d4. That is a 4.
You see a place called the Barrel and Brew. The outside, the wall, like facing the street, is literally made up of how do I explain it? Like barrels that have been stacked on each other.
Okay.
That make up the entire frame of that outside door, but they were like, as you walk in, they were like bisected. So it's literally like somebody made a wall out of barrels, not a wall of barrels, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, like it's just facade on the outside.
Exactly. Yeah, it is 100%.
It's not actual structure.
Right. They're not actually barrels. Somebody just like kind of glued barrels to the outside just to give it that look. And you see that the name is painted along, like there's one barrel that is complete and it's sitting outside or like standing, and you see along the side there as if it was like painted on by like a company or something, Barrel and Brew. And you enter, and it feels like there's no windows. It is a dark, hole in the wall tavern that seems quiet, not too busy. You walk inside and there's a few tables and stuff. Not too many people in here at the moment, but there's one long L-shaped bar that is on the left side of the wall. And then you see there's like booths for like restauranting if you wanted to eat here or that sort of thing. Doesn't look like the cleanest place. Doesn't smell bad or anything, but it's clearly, kind of a novelty tavern, and you don't know, maybe you're catching it on the off time or like right now it's like 9 p.m. Time-wise, so
still a little early.
Yeah, exactly. But you walk in and you see a balding, like thick, like huge forearms is really what I should say. Huge forearms, balding blonde guy with a handlebar mustache who just kind of looks over at you guys. Beautiful blue eyes. Welcome.
Oh, hello.
Eladir walks in, like there might as well be like colors flying off of him.
Yeah.
He walks in, he's like, "Hello, give me your finest, please." You guys order a couple rounds. What are you doing tonight?
I think I am going to kind of start asking around of anybody who knows maybe anything about the Pale Lands and how we might be able to get there.
Sure. Roll a. Let's do charisma. So
Okay.
Let's see, performance or persuasion.
Okay.
Just you're talking to people now. Are you laughing because it's low?
Yeah, I don't have.
Yeah.
It's a flat roll, so.
Okay.
Hey.
What? Nat 20? Nice.
Nat 20.
You're sitting down and you're thinking, man, how am I gonna get any information about this vague place across the ocean, this new world that barely anybody's ever been to, And as you're thinking this, you're like, this is going to be the most difficult thing. I don't know if I'm going to find anybody. Somebody sits down right next to you, this old, shirtless, ripped, bald man. But you see he's got this thick, like, walrus mustache, like almost completely white. And he just sits down next to you and he's like, I got a story to tell you. And Eladir, as he sits down, Eladir immediately is like, oh, what the fuck? Like, he is completely caught off guard. And he's just sitting there staring off like 1,000-yard stare. Like he's not even, he would probably be doing this if nobody was sitting there. And he is just staring at you and he's like, you ever been to the Pale Lands?
Well,
I'll tell you about them. They're not for the lighthearted. But I was lucky. My friends weren't so lucky. They got colony sickness and they didn't make it.
colony sickness.
Yeah, it's boils, and I would say that you spending so much time in the city, you probably have heard of this. Colony sickness is a relatively new, call it a plague or a disease. There's a sickness that is only affecting people that live in the colonies.
Interesting.
Now, and I guess for our viewers, the Pale Lands, where you currently are, Sylvetta, you are in Nidora. Mm-hmm. Looking at the map, you are along the bottom of the northern continent. The Pale Lands sit across the ocean, this brand new, basically unexplored area that comes with a lot of ghost stories, especially from sailors.
Okay.
But you don't really believe in any of that stuff. Like, it's a place filled with new creatures, new discoveries, ancient cities, ruins, things like that, things that you love. And you being who you are, you've been out there, like you were attacked 2 nights ago and the night before that. So you're not somebody who is scared very easily. Mm-hmm. And you hear all of these stories and you're like, whatever. Like, some people aren't cut out to be explorers like you are. Not everybody can do what you do, and you know that. You have heard of this colony sickness. For whatever reason, it only affects people out there. But everything about the colonies on the other side of the ocean comes with this sort of danger.
Okay.
Like, there's just an inherent danger because it is unexplored and untamed.
Gotcha.
And that's how you understand it. But this guy, you see, he is shirtless as if he was like, I mean, honestly, he's built like a sailor. Mm-hmm. And you see, as he walks in, or as he's sitting there with you, you see the bartender comes up and he's like, "Oh, hey, Tom, like, same as always." And he's like, "Yeah. So where are you from?" He's looking at you.
I'm from Kantos, up in.
You're from
Elra.
the Empire.
Yeah.
Well, what brings you out this way? And you see he's just staring off into the distance.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the Pale Lands. Seems my fate's taking me there.
Let me tell you about those Pale Lands, little girl. And he stares off into the distance again. I lost 14 of my best friends out there. One of them died from a leg thing. He got it before. So 13 of my friends died out there. And you see he's just staring off, 1,000-yard stare. Tom, you lock eyes with Tom, who's kind of looking back at you, and he's just like, yeah, this is normal. He continues to tell you all sorts of stories. From what you can tell, he has stayed almost exclusively in the city of Martine, which is there's no capital in the colonies. There's no country.
Yeah.
Along those coasts there. It's sort of wild lands. People go there to disappear, or they go there to start new lives, or they go there for the adventure, or for that sort of thing. But if there was a capital, if there was one place that was like the stopping point, it's the city of Martine. So it's kind of like saying that I've been to Mexico and he only went to Cabo.
Okay.
He is talking to you exclusively about what it's like to be along the coast. Looking at the map, or remembering back to that map, you're not going to the coast.
Yeah.
But he's telling you about this, and then he starts to get into, he starts talking about a captain that he sailed with, Captain Mishgrim. And he starts mentioning this captain, saying, on a nat 20, he's just like, I wouldn't recommend you go there, but if you had to, Mishgrim's the way to go. Now let me tell you about my friend Nicholas. He wasn't very bright. He had this pet chicken, you see, and he starts going off on this story. And apparently, as you're continuing this conversation with him, Mishgrim happens to make port here all the time. And if that is somebody you wanted to look up here in the city, you could do that. How drunk are you trying to get tonight?
Not very. I'm kind of letting Eladier.
Yeah. He is currently flirting with a dude on the other side of the... like, he has moved multiple seats. It looks like he was trying to get away from this guy you've been talking to.
Yeah.
Now he is at the other end of the bar, towards the door, talking to some guy right now. And he is just, like, leaning in. Yeah, he's doing his thing. What is your passive perception?
My passive perception is a 15.
There is somebody that, somebody who's been shooting you looks throughout this entire conversation.
Okay.
And you're only just now noticing it because at this point, at first it was like, am I overthinking it? Mm-hmm. Is he just looking in my direction?
Yeah.
As you've been talking to this guy, asking him questions, finding out about the captain, hearing his stories about this Nicholas and his chicken, you have noticed that this guy has shot glances over at you a few too many times.
Okay.
And I will say that, make an insight check.
That is a 16.
16. You catch a few details. The color of his cloak, the symbol on his neck, little things here and there. He's from Alara. That's the first thing you notice. He's not from Nidora. He's not a Nidoran. He is an Imperial. And the second thing you notice on that insight check is that he is being a little shifty. He seems a little fidgety.
Okay.
And there's been like one or two times where you've locked eyes and he immediately looks away. The way he's behaving, he's got his hood up. He doesn't want to be seen. And it's just your sharp eye, because you haven't been drinking, has noticed that he's been sitting here for a while. Maybe he's waiting for somebody, but he doesn't want to be seen here.
Got you. I am going to order my friend another drink next to me, my new friend.
And anyways, he took that chicken everywhere, and when I tell you that I have never seen a depressed chicken in my life, but when he died, that chicken was at his grave every single morning. Oh, thanks for the beer.
Yeah, on your friend.
Yeah.
Well, good talking to you, man.
You can find me here most nights. I'll tell you more stories.
Got you. I might be back. Thank you for the information. Cheers. And then I'm going to walk over to where that guy is. Is he sitting at a table?
He's sitting at a table in the back corner. Closer to you than he is to Eladier.
So I'm going to go kind of sit... I'm going to go right up to him. I'm going to go right up to the table. I'm going to sit down right in front of him with my drink. And I'm just going to say, all right, I see you. What?
He immediately jumps when you sit down, but then when he looks at you, he eyes you.
And I'm going to, by the way, just kind of have like, not that he would notice, but I'm kind of like putting my hand kind of close to where my ashen blade is.
Okay.
Just in case.
You see he looks at you, thinks for a moment. His eyes are shifty. They're darting around like he wants to run or something. But he sits and he stays. I've heard of you. I know what you're doing. If I know what you're doing, other people do too, and you should be very careful, Miss Thade.
And who are you to warn me to be careful?
I would tell you, but you're not going to be alive to care in the morning. And you see he immediately shifts and he goes to stab you. I need you to roll a quick initiative.
Oh, okay.
It has also gotten busier in here, so he's doing this in a crowded place.
Got you, okay. That will be a 20 for initiative for me.
Ooh. That is a very low initiative roll for him. So you act first. You, having already gotten ready, see him going for a dagger under his cloak, shifts, and the moment he starts pulling it out, what are you doing?
I'm going to grab my ashen dagger, and I am going to... I'm going to stab him with it, like, right in the chest, and I'm going to say in his ear, you get the fuck out of here right now.
All right,
or there's gonna be a
so
problem.
roll to attack. And if you want, you can use.
So roll for that first.
Yes.
Okay. So that would be.
Against his deception.
Yeah. So 9 plus. And what is it? Hold on. Deception.
It is a 9 deception.
Mine is a 14 insight.
You're rolling. Okay, insight. So bonus action. So you get to use your sneak attack. You immediately spot the one place that there is no leather armor.
Okay.
And you get to roll your sneak attack.
Okay. Sneak attack. 3d6.
Damn.
Plus my regular attack, right?
Yeah.
Which is a d4.
You hear Eladier in the other side. Oh, you're so funny.
Sorry.
There's people just laughing. The whole bar is crowded. There's music probably at this point. Let me take this too. Wow, that's some pretty good rolls.
Okay, so we have 3, 6, 6 plus 8, that's 12, 17.
Plus your dex.
Oh, plus 3, so 20 points of damage.
You drive the blade into him. This is a flaming dagger, right?
Yes, with fire damage, yeah.
You sink it right into him. His cloak starts to catch. And he is just, You say that to him. He coughs up blood. Black blood. You see, the first thing is as the flames start to catch around him, the shadow that you see on the wall from the is not the shadow of what he looks like. You see something else. And as he dies, you see the image that you see disappears. And you see underneath this horrifying feathered face, this half, you see a beak. You see, like, there are elements of skin, flesh. The eyes are piercing and yellow. You see the hair is more like feathers. Ears are black and pointed. You see feathers fading to skin underneath the cloak. Clawed hands that go from black to pale. And you see he's just eyeing you, coughs up the blood, and dies right there. And then the flames, and he starts to melt.
What the fuck? Oh god, okay. Are people around me starting to see this?
A couple of people have turned around who are, at this moment, only seeing flames on a chair and black.
I'm just gonna kind of pat out the flames and be like, okay, buddy, it's too much. And I'm just gonna kind of like hoist him over my shoulder and be like, he had too much to drink.
His body is melted.
Oh, it's melted. Okay,
Yeah,
never mind.
his body has
Never
turned
mind.
into, like, there's just a black goo in the seat that he was
Oh, God.
in. Yeah.
I'm just gonna go to the back of the bar to Elodie and be like, we've got to go right now.
He's like, he's in the middle of a conversation, right? Yeah. What? So this is my friend Sylvetta. She's being very rude right now. What?
And then I'm gonna be like, look over there.
He turns and looks. What? The goo?
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
We need to get the fuck
No. Sylvetta.
I'm sorry.
One
I'm sorry. We need to
I'm
go.
so sorry. If you're here, if I gotta, you pull him out. I'll call you, and you pull him out, and you guys walk out into the main street. At this point, what are you doing in this exact moment? You step out into the late night.
I am going to survey the area and see if there's anybody around that might look a little shifty.
Nobody. Well, make a perception check.
Perception. 17.
You look around. Your trained eye. You're looking at the rooftops. You don't see anything.
Okay.
Looking up and down the street, down the alleys. You step out into humid, sweet, salty air. It's a really nice night, honestly.
Okay, I'm gonna turn to Elder and be like, what did you leave in the room? Do we need to go get anything?
My loot.
Okay, we're gonna get that and we're getting the fuck out of here now.
All right. Can you explain along the way?
Yeah, I'll explain.
And you guys turn and you start telling him all about it. And you head back to the vintage song. Vintage song? Vintage wine. The vintage verse. That was close. You head back to the vintage verse to gather your things in an early checkout.
At this point, telling Eladir that, you know, there might be a captain at the docks.
What, now, I thought we were going to be here for like a week. Now you're saying we need to go now?
Yeah, well, do you want to fight off more of these fucking weird bird creatures, or do you want to just get the fuck out?
No, that doesn't sound fun at all.
Okay, they're gonna just keep coming for us. We either go and end it now.
Well, can we stock up on some alcohol then? I will do that. You know what? How about you go get my loot? No, I don't trust you. I will get the loot. You get the alcohol. And he starts walking up the steps, up the building, and inside up to his room.